In today's episode of Homestead How, we finally tackle a big headache in the backyard of our homestead. We have a beautiful homestead property, but we have this huge, ugly sand pit in the back, and we tried to grow grass and nothing else grows there. It just looks ugly. So myself, the girls, and Jen, we're going to do a huge transformation. You guys got to see how this turns out. It's amazing. In today's episode, let's get started. We got some landscape fabric from this really cool company, and it's right here.
Right here?
Sure. These are landscaping staples to hold this down. Quiet, chicken, I'm trying to record. And this is the landscape fabric, and this is some heavy duty fabric. It's almost like a tarp, but thicker. It's woven together. So this project took place over the course of several weeks. We started with the landscape fabric, and then later we're going to have some rocks dropped. We were debating on putting some mulch down, but we ended up going with some 3/4 inch washed stones. And there's much more to come. You got to see how this thing turns out. So most of the updates we do on our homestead are more practical, like building a chicken coop or a greenhouse. This is more cosmetic, but it is an investment in ourselves. We should get a nice return on our money if we go to sell our property, which we don't plan on doing, but we also have an Airbnb rental, and this is going to be a nice feature for them. Maybe they'll tell their friends and come back, so it could generate some revenue that way as well. Next up, Katie and I are going to build a fence to cover up this little lean-to area where we keep our golf cart. We're going to laser engrave something onto this board. I'm not sure yet. It's 285 millimeters, and we want to make sure to be right in the center, which would be... Now we got to go to the computer and design something to put on here. 200. And we're going to connect laser box. This tool is called the X tool. It's a laser engraver, and Jen's done a couple videos over on I Create Crafts with it. It's really cool. Alright, so we engraved this with our X tool. It's really cool. You can actually feel it if you close your eyes. It's not just like it's burning the wood, it's actually engraving it. So this will look a lot nicer. We're going to let it dry out because this is pressure treated. We're going to let it dry out in the sun for a while, and then we're going to stain this. And I think it'll look really, really cool, especially with these lights on at night. We've got all the landscape fabric set up, and we just got off the phone because we're placing an order to have probably like 15 yards of stone dropped. This pergola has a really interesting design. It's 10 by 20 feet. It's made of heavy aluminum, really good build quality, and it has louvered shades on the top that you can crank open or close to let the sun in. It even keeps the rain out. So the girls and I are going to put this together. So we have the basic structure set up, and I'm really happy with how this went together. It took maybe an hour and a half, and the basic structure's up. We still got to put the shades up and a bunch of other little pieces, but it's much bigger than I expected, and it just looks really good. I wasn't sure how it would look. We got this nice little fenced area here. We just put all these stones down. We got pavers we're putting in. happy with how this is turning out. Really like the design of this too. It's a very sleek, clean, modern design. So we put some chairs out, a little fire pit, and some pavers. But we're not completely done yet. We want to add a pond to the back corner where you still see some of that sand. So that's going to be one of the next steps. What would you guys do in that area? We're thinking of doing a pond where we buy a liner and we can kind of shape it ourselves since we have the sand. We could do a large pond, and that's going to be in a future episode of Homestead How. But very happy with how this turned out. This louver design is really cool, and we've used it several times, had some campfires, and it's a great additional space for our family and for our Airbnb guests that like to stay on our homestead.